Now we get to one that's a little bit trickier, and that's something that I'm sure you were expecting in this class. We're on number 5, aren't we? Which is called the mean. And the mean is what we think of as the average, probably the most important thing we're going to talk about today. The symbol for mean in this class is X bar, and that's pronounced X bar. It's X with a little bar on top. And most of you know how to figure out the average. Well, what do? You would say, well, okay, if I want to calculate X bar, you would add up all the numbers, so 5 plus 8 plus 12 plus plus all of them, and divide by the number of numbers, which in this case is 12, that's n. And just trust me, when you do this, you get about 13.42, let's say. Okay? There's a symbol, there's a formula, if you will, for mean. Now, I think you know how to do it, but let me just kind of show you this notation and talk about it a little bit. I'm going to write down X bar is equal to something over n, and then I'm going to write this big sigma sign, which we'll talk about, and then X. So in statistics, when we kind of talk about what this means, we know what n means. N is the number of individuals. What's that? Individuals. This is the Greek letter sigma. It's a capital sigma, which basically means sum, which means add them all up. And then X is each observation. So this formula is a formula you know. Sigma X means add up all the X's and divide by n. Okay, that's the mean. Pretty straightforward. But again, don't get bogged down with the notation. Okay? The sixth thing to calculate is something called the median. Median, there's no symbol. Usually it's a big capital M. And that's defined as the middle number. Okay? Now, median can be a little bit tricky because in this case, there are 12 numbers. So there's not an let me kind of on the next page write the numbers again because median can get a little bit tricky to talk about. So let's write these numbers. I'm just going to write the numbers again quickly. 5, 8, 12. There were 4 13s. And there was a 14, a 16, a 17, an 18, and a 19. Okay, so there are 12 total numbers. N is 12. So what that means is that if you say, okay, well, if there's not a middle thing, if there's 12 things, there's not one middle one. So that's going to be so the median then becomes the average of the two middle ones. So down here, if n is even, m is the average. By average, I mean add them up, divide by 2 of the two middle numbers. Now in this case, that would be the 6th and 7th number. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What am I doing wrong here? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm missing a number. See which one I'm missing. Oh, I only wrote 4 13s. Okay, there's an extra 13 here. I've messed up this example now. Okay, so these are the two middle numbers. So, of course, the average of 13 and 13 is 13, right? But if I added another number, let's say there was another number that was 21, then suddenly we have 13 observations. So then the median would become the 7th number, which is a silly example, still would actually be 13 here. Okay, so if n is even, m is the average of the two middle numbers. If n is odd, then there will be a middle number, and that's the median. M is the middle. Okay, makes sense? Okay. The next thing, I think we're on number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, number 7, I think. If I'm not, it doesn't really matter. Is something called the first quartile, which the symbol for that is Q1. The first quartile is the 25th percentile. which is a term you may be familiar with from like standardized testing and stuff, or it's the median. Here's the real definition. It's the median of all numbers less than the median. So let me just kind of give you, make up some other numbers and kind of just talk about it a little bit quickly. Okay, so let's say I give you just a bunch of numbers, 3, and I'll put them in order, 3, 4, 7, 11, 12, 16. I'm going to make them all different just to illustrate the point, 20. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, so the median number in this case would be 11. That's the median. Well, where are the numbers less than the median? They're these numbers. Now, what's the median of those numbers? Well, it's 4. That's Q1. Okay? So it's the median of all numbers less than the median. That's the number at the 25th percentile. Now, I just want to show you that things can get a little bit goofy here. If I add, let's say I add one more number. I'm going to add a 24 here. Well, suddenly now, I'm going to use purple, or use green, excuse me. Now we have 8 total numbers. N is 8. So what's the median? The median is the average of 12 and 16, which is 14, is the median. Now, where are the numbers that are less than 14? Well, it's all these numbers, right? Am I doing that right? I totally messed up this example, didn't I? Yes, I did. Forget what I just said. The median, erasing all this. Starting over, rewind in time. The median is the average of 11 and 12, which would be 11.5. Now, what are the numbers less than 11.5? They're these numbers. Well, there's 4 of those. So what's the median of those numbers? That's going to be Q1, which is the average of 4 and 7, which is 5.5. Okay? So it really depends not only whether the whole number of numbers is odd, but whether or not the numbers less than the median are odd. To illustrate that, let me just do one more thing. Let's add one more number, 27. Okay, I'm going to do it in purple now. Now, how many numbers are there now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9's an odd number, so there is an exact median. It's got to be the 5th number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 12 is the median. Now, what are the numbers less than the median? Well, they're these numbers. Okay, how many of those are there? There's 4. So the median of those numbers is the average of these two. So now Q1 is 5.5 again. Okay, so really you have to, if I ask you to figure out medians and Q1s, it all makes a difference. You know, it matters whether the even or odd stuff really makes a difference. Okay, I'm going to go on to the next slide, but basically we're going to talk about something called Q3 next, which works exactly the same way, but we replace this word less than with larger than. So it actually works exactly the same way with bigger numbers. So Q3, which is called the 3rd quartile, big Q, little 3, is the 75th percentile, and it's the median of all numbers more than or greater than the median. So it works exactly the same way as what we just did, but you just pick the bigger numbers. Okay? I think I'm going to stop there and break this up into 2 things, and so we'll finish up section 1.2 next time.